Okay, moving right along here, part two. So we have Stephen D. Rubin. We're on the executive score breakdown. He's got 11 failures, 12 short targets for a sum of 23. Um, Now, the next table down, in this case, his name is already prompted in this box. And so we already have all of his data. But there's something I want to show you that's very important to know about this particular box. It's very important to put the name exactly as you see it in the database into that box, and I'll show you an example of what I mean. So if we look up somebody else, like we have here Alexander Rhodes at the top, if I just type in Alexander Rhodes, they show up, and I don't have the A there. But if I did that down below and didn't include the A or the period, and just said Alexander Rhodes and apply changes, then nothing comes up. So it has to be exact. And so I would get in the habit of just copy and pasting that. And see, now you can see there's one result for Alexander Rhodes. In our case, we want Stephen D. Rubin. So going back to him, again, I don't need to have it exactly right. I didn't even type the full name, and he comes up. But that won't be the case on this particular table, and it's only this table. So it's only where you have this situation where you have to apply changes by putting the executive name in that box. So that's something to be aware of. And now we have all the results. And then from there, if we want to search within those results, we can. So say Elox Pharmaceuticals, and then it comes up and just like the previous searches. But you need to do that part very specifically. And what this table shows is all current and all past roles for the executive. It shows start date, end date, if there is one, company ticker, etc. Now, verified failure. What's important to note here is that if the verified failure says yes, then that means that we have confirmed that the stock was down 90+%. If it says no, it doesn't mean that it's not a failure. It just means that we don't know. So we might not have the data, or it might not be a failure, but we're not sure. So only verified failures are for sure failures, and the no's we just don't know. Short target, yes, no, pretty self-explanatory. It either is or isn't. Target during tenure is referring to the short target. In other words, was the executive at this company when the short report was written? In some cases, it'll be yes, and others no. And the way we check that is we have the publication date, and we check that against the start date. So in this case, he started it in March of 18. The report came out in May of 18. There's no end date, so yes, he was there at the time that the report came out. And then there's updates to initial report, which these are kind of like after the initiation report. Sometimes there's update reports, sometimes there isn't. So if there isn't, it'll be 0, but if there is, it'll be however many update reports there were. And then on the far right, you have current role. So is this a current role for Stephen D. Rubin? Yes, 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 yes. In some cases, it'll be no. Again, you can sort by all these different categories and download by going here in the corner and just clicking however you want to download it. Be aware that sometimes you'll go to click the download here and it'll seem like it's not doing anything for a minute. If it's a really big file, it will take a minute to actually do it, but it is, trust me, it's doing something. It's just might be behind the scenes. So that's the end of that one. And next we'll go to failure data, which is the most logical one. And lastly, short activism data. And that'll pretty much be it, I think. So I'm going to stop here and we'll go to number 3 with failure data.